The ceasefire is nothing. You've got Netanyahu talking about how nothing's going to change. They killed an 11-year-old a few days ago. We don't hear any of this. Western governments and Western media are to blame for October 7th. There is no doubt in my mind, because if Western governments and Western media had been truthful and held Israel to account many, many years ago, we would never be in this position today. First of all, they had their education of hate. They're taught to hate Palestinians, that the Palestinians want to kill them, that the Palestinians are wanting to steal their land, and then they're given a gun and told to go out there. They can do it to the Palestinians because they get away with it.
And they've got guns.
And the Palestinians cannot do anything to protect themselves or to fight back, otherwise they end up in prison. So when they get a white guy, they don't know what to do. The love for Palestine today is far greater than the fear of Israel. And that is a beautiful thing, and it's growing and it's growing and it's growing. I'm proud to be a supporter of Palestine. It's the right thing to do. I've taken the time to figure out what's going on over there. It's my responsibility. If you know something and you're in a position to do something, you should.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and greetings to all of our wonderful listeners and viewers. Welcome to another episode of the Stand4Palestine podcast, being done somewhere very, very different and somewhat differently with a wonderful guest. I want to say a huge thank you to the brothers at the Fair Dinkum podcast, which is where this is being filmed for many of our Aussie viewers. It needs very little introduction. It's one of the more prominent podcasts in our Australian sort of Muslim community and network. So it's absolutely wonderful to be here in Melbourne. I've got a wonderful guest host with me, one of the voices of Melbourne, certainly one of the best physical shapes in Melbourne. You won't find much better.
I'm not so sure about that.
Abdullah Hamimi. And more importantly, we have a wonderful guest with us, Robert Martin. Robert, welcome to our podcast.
You're not going to comment on his shape?
No, I feel a bit
We'll
offended
get
now
to
that my
that.
shape quite isn't up to yours. But your physique's up there.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Robert is definitely one of the more important figures in Melbourne, if I can put it that way. Maybe not physical figures, but figures nonetheless. Robert, it's an absolute honor to have you on our podcast, something that we've been trying to do for a while. Welcome.
Thanks very much. Thanks for the opportunity. Any opportunity to talk about Palestine, I think, is important. We all have different stories, or different ways to tell stories. And the Palestinians have been ignored for far too long. And what you guys are doing is brilliant.
Yep. No, we really appreciate voices like yours who are so unique in some ways, right? Like, as in, you're not a Muslim, you're not a Palestinian, but you happen to be at the forefront of this activism, and we want to sort of understand why. And we've got Abdullah with us because we're hoping that Abdullah will become an important part of our work in this wonderful city. But before I guess we launch into some of the discussions proper. So, in a nutshell, you're a lifelong Melbourneite. I understand you're from here.
Born in Melbourne, raised in Melbourne.
Yep.
You haven't travelled other than a little bit in the Middle East.
Yep.
And obviously Palestine.
Yep.
But
Not a Collingwood supporter, huh?
Yeah, I actually am.
How did I know?
Right. So the
I
colours
could see
are
it.
actually.
I could see it.
Actually, yeah. So the kafir sort of helps, but
Yeah,
Collingwood,
All
unfortunately.
So we'll still keep you here. It's okay. That's all.
My best friend's Carlton, so it's kept us,
Oh, gosh.
busy over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Abdullah, for those who don't know you so much, pretty active guy in the Australian Muslim community here in Melbourne. What do you have to say? For
Here in Melbourne, I'm a North Melbourne supporter. So I don't know if you know, but I'm still around.
Kangaroos, yeah.
Kangaroos, yeah. Yeah, not many of them around, unfortunately. But I was brought up in the heyday, so I still stuck around.
How old are you?
Now, 35.
Okay.
So, been around. I think in primary school, Wayne Carey days. That's what
Yes, I was wondering.
and
Okay.
I've sort of just hanged around since then. So, but in terms of age, Martin here is definitely not 77.
Robert Martin.
Oh, Robert Martin. So it's definitely not 77.
Yeah. I think I appreciate you actually.
He's very young for a 77-year-old.
Yes, because look, I have a
So
lot
what's
of
the
people.
story there?
I have a lot of people coming up to me, and look, the latest one was last week. I was in Sydney,
Yeah.
and someone came up and said, "Oh, look, my dad, he wants to know that he's 76. He wants to know how you look like you do because you're the same age." And I said, "But no, I'm not. I'm 53." And so there's a Wikipedia page out there that says I'm a historian, that I've written a lot of books. and that I'm 76. And also a lady came up too telling me that her husband had read all my books. And I've never written a book in my life. And so
Wow.
it's amazing what the media does
Just
out
soaking
there.
up the praise.
Yeah. So, please change the picture out there. So,
Yeah, whoever's in charge of that Wikipedia page. Yeah.
well, they upgraded it because they had an older one of me and they've gone to all of the effort of upgrading the picture
Right.
to make me look better.
Right.
You think the person putting the picture there would go, oh, he ain't 76.
So you don't have a real Wikipedia page, like about you yourself?
No.
That's a bit weird, isn't it? After all the coverage you've received and stuff.
It
like
probably wouldn't be that good.
that? Yeah.
You know,
I mean, there are pages with just one line about a person. This person did. I mean, Hamimi's probably got
I don't have a Wikipedia page. I don't
prominent lifter from Melbourne, known for his selfies. Everything is bulging out. You know, I'm sure he's got a page somewhere. It has to happen.
Find it.
Google
If
it
you
later.
found it, please send it to me.
Yeah, no, I haven't yet. No, no, not that I look.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, fair enough. Well, I mean, look, it was wonderful, you know, doing some research on you, not just now before this podcast, but also before some of your recent activities in Sydney, where you've been doing a bit of work. But before we move off that topic, just on a lighter note, because there's some very heavy topics to discuss today, you mentioned you did some lifting as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. I did.
In the background, you're telling us.
Look, so my profile picture of my Palestine, I was about 100 kilos of muscle, and I felt a lot better like that when the soldiers were pointing their guns at me because I was a lot bigger, a lot younger at the time. But my profile picture is, you know, when I was lifting, and, you know, I look a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And now I'm an old man, and people don't recognise
Put
me.
that on his Wikipedia one, please.
Yeah.
I have to say, the footage of you in Palestine in 2014, which is where I think the journey all began.
Yep.
It's extraordinary, right? And yes, you definitely look you look amazing.
Yeah.
I have to say, you were intimidating those Israeli soldiers. The one where you were sort of going up to them when they were burning someone's house, right? And you were giving it to them, and they looked intimidated. Those two guys, fairly young.
Yeah.
But you know, you gave it to them pretty well. Like you were saying, this is intimidating. I won't stand for it. How disgusting is this? You wouldn't get away with this in any.
They are
any other
intimidated.
country. Yeah.
They are. They're weak.
Yeah.
They
They
can
very
do
much
it.
look like it.
They can do it to the Palestinians because they get away with it.
And they've got guns.
And the Palestinians cannot do anything to protect themselves or to fight back. Otherwise, they end up in prison. You know, they changed the laws where a Palestinian throwing a stone can go to jail for 20 years. They do all of these things to stop the Palestinians from fighting back. So when they get a white guy, they don't know what to do.
But on something, and not to be vain and vacuous about it, because you know we're starting on that lighter topic. But really, a lot of them, even now, even to this day, they don't look like soldiers.
They're not.
They don't look physically fit. It's literally an industry, industrial military complex that helps them be what they are. But they're
Correct.
not ready to fight. They're not physically people that you would associate as a warrior class
No,
people.
they're not. The main soldiers, and I've dealt with probably 4 or 5 different divisions now. The main division, which has probably got the most numbers, is the ones around the occupied West Bank. And they're kids.
Yeah.
They're kids. They get given a gun. First of all, they had their education of hate. They're taught to hate Palestinians, that the Palestinians want to kill them, that the Palestinians are wanting to steal their land. And then they're given a gun and told to go out there. That's the way that works. I had the elite, or they were the number, Unit 13. Unit 13 was the ones that got onto the boat on the flotilla that I was on. And they're the ones that also went to the Al-Shifa hospital and executed people. They look different.
Right.
They look like SAS soldiers,
Right.
or they look like the American
The real
soldiers.
deal.
Completely different. Then when you get into the prison system, again, a different level, they are all like this.
Right.
They are there to intimidate the crap out of you, and they're angry and they're mean. They're the ones that you don't see. You only see them once you get into a prison system, which is, what happened to us when on the flotilla. But the main soldiers, they are just weak, pumped out to just disrupt the Palestinians' everyday movements, stop them at checkpoints, lock them up, kidnap them between 2 and 3 in the morning, which is something that they do on a regular basis.
Yep.
But they're just trained to really dislike and hate the Palestinians and anybody that actually wants to stand up for the Palestinians.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go backwards then a little bit. Well, actually, before we do that, let me focus in on the point that we're at right now. So a lot has happened.
Yes.
A genocide in real time plays out. There's a ceasefire. I want to ask you a couple of difficult questions as someone who's been in this space, in the activism of Palestine for a while. What do you see happening? And how much do you turn your attention to the politics of what happens? How much do you follow it? Or is your action mainly to sort of get people moving? Like, how would you describe the work that you do on an ongoing basis?
Well, in 2014, I went over there. There was a ceasefire, and they were killing Palestinians. They were stealing their land. They had an illegal siege on Gaza. They chose what went into Gaza. They stopped sugar, chocolates, crutches, pencils, crayons, baby formula. They stopped all of these things. They are completely in charge. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. I can't believe that October 7 took so long, to be honest, because when I was there in 2014, I've got dozens of stories that I witnessed that I could not accept as a parent if a neighbour did to me.
Right.
I would not be able to accept that.
In Gaza?
No, in
the West Bank.
occupied West Bank, yeah.
Sure.
If these sorts of things happened in my street, in my suburb, I'm not going to allow it to continue. But this happens to each and every Palestinian each and every day, whether it's their father, their mother, their kids, their aunties. It continually happens. And so the ceasefire is nothing.
Yeah.
You've got Netanyahu talking about how nothing's going to change. He says that in his in Hebrew, in the Israeli newspapers, and then you've got Trump turning around and saying other things that that Hamas have to lay down their weapons, and if they don't, he'll go in and hunt them. Well, the agreement was never that the Hamas was going to lay all of their weapons down. They said that they would if that there was going to be a leadership come in that they were happy with. You can't just put all of your weapons down when you've got Israel next door to you. I mean, we don't even talk about the occupied West Bank today. They killed an 11-year-old a few days ago. We don't hear any of this. They've got a jailing rate, a magistrate's court, which is a military court, 99.75% conviction rate. And so many of these kids in there, they're in what's called a administrative detention. There's no charge.
They're just holding them there.
80-odd% of the Palestinians that are held in Israeli prisons at the moment, which they've been kidnapped, they're hostages, have not had a charge against them. Not one charge. But yet our media doesn't want to talk like that.
And we should call them hostages because the media is calling them prisoners and to distinguish them as criminals. And when really, when they're victims of kidnapping, more or less.
Yeah, and it's the rhetoric. It's the power of the language. The power of the language is so, and it tricked me for so many years. I mean, my story, I had a best friend was Palestinian, still is. He was a Carlton supporter, telling me everything that was happening to his family. But I'd go home and I'd see the news, I'd see the newspapers, and it would tell me that the Palestinians are terrorists, that the Israelis just wanted peace, they're just minding their own business, and it's not true. It's not true. Any other country in the world can be patriotic and say, I'm going to stand up for my country. But if Palestine does it, they're called terrorists. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. And just because they say it in the news doesn't mean it's true. And these are the things we have to keep going today. The ceasefire, we've seen them. How many have we seen? I personally don't think there has been a ceasefire once.
Right.
Not one that is real. Because, the Israelis will say, well, what happened? We left Gaza in 2005. Well, they left Gaza, but they left and they've put a complete stranglehold on it. They even counted the calories. And this is all you can find on the internet. It's so blatant and obvious. It's out there. What do you expect these people to do? And under international law and under moral law, you have the right to protect yourself and you have the right to resist an occupying power.
I think it's crazy, isn't it? It's so well established, that right. International human rights scholars, international legal scholars, everyone has sort of spoken on that issue. There's very little doubt in people's minds that, there is a right to resist in some way, shape or form, whatever that looks like. But I guess, coming back to sort of like, where does it all leave us right now? Where do you think this goes? Like,
we can't stop. We have to continue doing what we're doing. And I find it a bit offensive that, on the news these days, they're saying, oh, how come you're going to protest? There's a ceasefire in place. Really? They killed an 11-year-old a few days ago. They executed him.
But on that, in Melbourne, I was just reading just before that, they've stopped the protests now because the ceasefire has been established, quote unquote. And do you think that's...
Melbourne won't stop.
That's ridiculous when I read it.
Melbourne won't stop. I know that Sydney took it to court.
Yes, they did.
And they're not going to stop because now there is no better time to be pro-Palestine because the world has seen Israel for what it really is. Israel hasn't changed. It just got in a position where it could do what it does best, and that is to kill. That is the Zionists. And anyone knows what Zionism means. Zionism means a place for the Jewish homeland. but there just happens to be a whole lot of Palestinians living there.
Mm.
And that in itself is a crime. That in itself is a crime. And we need to realise that.
You talk about sort of keeping going, and of course we have to, morally we're obliged. But where does this go? Like where do you see this going? I mean, they've killed what, 400, 500, 600,000 people if you believe some of those estimations. And there seems to be almost universal recognition from anyone apart from the sort of the pro-Zionist sort of camp that this really is about ethnic cleansing, right? The ultimate aim here is to push the Palestinians out, and that 7 October was the best thing that could possibly have happened for them in some way, in that regard, right? That it gave them the ultimate excuse.
It was a license.
It was a license.
They do things to provoke Palestinians all over Palestine.
Yeah,
they do it all the time.
Yeah,
because they want the provocation so they can come in and do what they do.
Yeah.
So
what do you think happens? I mean, it's a huge question. It's a very challenging question because none of us can sort of predict the future. It's a geopolitical question. It's a very tectonic sort of question. But what happens to the state? Like, does it keep going until it is, literally it forces, and there's much to be said about the regimes around that protect it effectively, right? Egypt, Saudi Arabia, all of these countries. Yeah. There's a lot to be said about those. But does it come to a point where even they can no longer act as the protective barrier that they've been? Like, where do you, as a long-term activist, see this going? Like, what are the discussions that you're having in this regard?
I hope so. I hope it gets to the point where those countries say enough is enough, because America isn't going to do it. They're not going to do it.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, they've given so much money, and most of their money, I think it's about 75% of the money that they give, Israel actually has to spend on military aid from America, which is just crazy in itself. So they're giving them something like $30 billion over the last 12 months now.
Yep.
That in itself is showing you what he's happy to happen. Because you can't turn around and say, you've got to stop the killing, here are the weapons. You can't do that.
Of course, yeah. It makes no sense.
It does. And look, we've had a lot of the countries turning around and saying that we'll recognise Palestine. Again, I find that offensive. They're waiting to this point. Western governments and Western media are to blame for October 7th. There is no doubt in my mind, because if Western governments and Western media had been truthful and held Israel to account many, many years ago, we would never be in this position today. But if you allow them to do what they do and you ignore the Palestinians all the time, we're going to have this situation. Are there going to be more killings? Absolutely there is. It's not going to stop. Israel is not going to stop. Israel, if Netanyahu goes into vote, they reckon he'll win again. Yeah. They do these surveys, and it's 80+%. They're happy with it.
Wanted to ask you about that. You've been to Israel itself, right? Not just the Palestinian territories. Like, you've been inside Israel. You've been to.
I didn't go to Tel Aviv. I didn't go to those areas. I had no interest.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
No interest.
Interesting.
No interest.
Because what I wanted to ask you was, what do you make of the people of this country, right? And these sorts of polls that come out, and the crazy interviews we see coming out from the streets of Tel Aviv, where they go, someone will go around and ask, "What's your view? What's your view? What's your view?"
Well, I did that.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
And you don't need to
do that in Hebron, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I did it all. I did it through Jerusalem.
Yeah.
I did it to Christians that were on their tours.
Yes.
I said, what are your thoughts of the Palestinians? Some said, who? Having a go like they don't exist. And then you have others turn around and say they're terrorists. And then I would say, well, how many have you spoken to in your life? Why would I do that? Why would I speak to them? They're terrorists.
These are the Zionist Jews living there.
Yeah. And, they're the answers. But you don't need to go to Tel Aviv, because everyone in Tel Aviv, they're going to serve in the IDF. Because they have to. They have to do it. Maybe 20% don't, and that some of them go to jail, some of them don't, but the majority do serve. So you don't have to go all the way into Tel Aviv to find out what's going on and how they feel about Palestinians.
Yep.
I spoke to some soldiers who were standing out the front of a refugee camp. They came to this particular spot at 1 o'clock, and they wait till about 3 o'clock, because that's when school comes out. They have gas canisters all over them. And this footage is all over the internet. So I'm not making it up. It's actually there for people to see it. And I started talking to these guys. Their job is to shoot canisters towards the kids. And if you look down 500 meters, less, but maybe 300 meters, you can see a huge mural of a child who was executed. He was 13. He was shot through the heart coming home from school. And they put a massive picture up there to show, in memory of him. The soldiers shoot the picture. They shoot bullet holes through his face. This is what they do. And then these particular soldiers, there was a Islamic cemetery, and they walked through it, kicking it as they go. And I said, "Are you proud? Do you go home? You look in the mirror and you're proud because these are kids. You're so tough." And they said, "Oh, we could kill you anytime we want. We could shoot you." And I said, "Well, do it." Well, during an interview 7 minutes later, there was an M16 shot. They shot towards me, not at me, but towards me. So I heard the gunshot, heard the bullet, and that was their way of showing them that they can use bullets without having to justify where the bullet's gone or anything like that. And when you see the picture of these guys, they're kids. Quite tall, but kids. I would pick them to be 17, but I think they have to be 18 or 19. And for that sort of a human being to get up in the morning, say bye mum and dad, put his army uniform on, knowing that he's going to stand in the same corner and his job is to shoot tear gas towards these kids. And it happens at every refugee camp, every one of them. And then you're at the Ibrahimi Mosque. I went in there and the soldiers come in there with their boots on, and it's, and they say that they're there to protect the Palestinians. And in the Ibrahim Mosque, there was an American Jew. He executed 29 Palestinians. That's why things changed. Things changed because of that. Yeah. And there's there's a place where people go and basically worship him, and it's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah.
And then I was walking around with Issa Amro, who has spoken at the UN. He's a famous. He lives in Hebron. He works for it's the Kids Against Settlements. And there's a certain area he can't walk anymore. And I said, "But why not? Let's just go. Come with me." And he stopped, and the soldiers, had a go at him. And it's the same soldiers. They're there for 3 months, so they know exactly who he is. But they give him a hard time. And there was this kid, maybe 13, 14, not even. He had the strings in there. He's religious, and the curls. And he started swinging back, and he's doing this to Issa. And I didn't realise until later on that he had said, "I'm going to kill you one day. I'm going to come up there. I'm going to kill your family." And then he high-fived the soldiers. And so there's 2 soldiers there to protect, and keep decorum, to keep... and they high-fived him. That was in 2018. So he grew up. Do you know where he was? He was there only a few months ago. Right where Issa was. He's got a gun now. He's got the whole lot, and he keeps threatening him.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is the society we're talking about.
It's the society we're talking about. And when I would go into the old city, fantastic area. I'd speak to some of the old guys. They're in this, 70s, 80s, 90s. They've had shops for years. They can't sell anything anymore. And one of the guys, he said, "Look, the Christians, they won't buy off us now. They've boycotted us." And I said, "I don't believe you. I don't believe you." And he said, "Yeah, they want us. They want them to buy somewhere else." And so I said, "Okay." I took my keffiyeh off, and I started trying to sell stuff. Not one of them did it. And I said, "Yeah, come on, what are you doing? You got to support these guys." And one of the people there said, "We're not allowed to."
Right.
And it was a group.
What have you seen about the treatment of Christians over there?
Yeah.
Well,
we hear stories about being spat out and that sort of stuff. And
it happens. Absolutely, it happens. You become a much second, third, fourth sort of person within there. This is a bit embarrassing to say, but I have an uncle who I haven't spoken to in a long time. He's part of Christians for Israel, very, very high up. Andrew Tucker, I organised a trip. They said, "Come over, we're going to organise a trip for you, Rob." And this was my first trip in 2014. And I'd stayed in Berlin, which is a village where the 5 broken cameras became famous for. And the movie 5 Broken Cameras was called that because the Israelis broke all of the cameras of the footage. That's what they did. Well, I went and visited the guy from Christians for Israel, and he said, "Rob, how you going? Where have you been?" And I said, "I've been staying in the village." He said, No, mate, you can't do that. You've got to get out of there. They're going to kill you." I said, "Yeah, it was dangerous. You're right. It was. I thought the Israelis were going to kill me." He had never set foot in there, but his entire job is to take tours from Christian for Israel, from Australia and America. And I said, "I'll come with you for a week. You come with me for 1 or 2 days into a Palestinian village."
Right.
Nope, wouldn't do it.
Convinced he's going to get killed or...
And he meant it.
Yeah.
And he meant it. But what got me is I said, "But how can you do tours if you haven't seen both sides?
Yeah.
It does not make sense." And I thought, Christians, you'd be, pretty honest. I was raised as a Christian. And looking back when I'm not religious now. But when looking back,
There's something we'll do about that.
There's some bets going around.
Yes,
with
I'm sure there are.
the Islamic community at the moment. Don't worry.
We can take care of it right now if you want.
We'll see.
Live on the show.
That's
Right.
right. Yeah.
What an honor that would be. But.
It's but I was embarrassed and ashamed that he said that, and because I said, look, I've come over here. I didn't make any real arrangements because I wanted to walk around on my own. I didn't want to be tarnished by somebody's opinions, and that's why I've gone to different areas.
Yeah.
And for the fact that he wouldn't do it, and then I realised that they have the big flashy buses that go around, and I saw a lot of them when I was in the occupied West Bank. They don't get out. They often stop in front of these signs, and these signs are up, big red signs that says that it's illegal for Israeli citizens to enter, as it could be harmful to or cause death. Okay.
Right.
It's okay when they're soldiers to go in there. They're still Israelis, but they go in as soldiers. But it's part of a two-pronged, I suppose, psychological thing. When you're on the bus, you look there, you think, I'm not going to go there. These Palestinians must be dangerous. There's a sign. But it dehumanises the Palestinians.
Yeah.
But the Palestinians go home and they see these signs. It's crazy. Yeah. And it's the same rhetoric that we get here.
I mean, to talk to what you're saying, Christian Zionism is a big thing right now, right? It literally controls America in some ways, or is behind what explains the ridiculous support in large part that America offers or gives Israel. So I guess that's what's going on there. Like your uncle would be a Christian Zionist, I suppose, isn't it?
He's very high up too. Yeah. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I'd never speak to him again at all. But I just came from a Chris Hedges thing, and someone asked him about the Christian Zionism. Yeah. He said, it's a big trouble for Israel because the younger ones aren't involved and they're not seeing all of the crap.
Yep.
They're seeing Israel for what it really is, and they don't feel Israel is their homeland.
Even within what you would call the Christian Zionist movement. Yeah, it's fascinating.
The younger ones are saying, we don't need that. Yeah. We don't need that.
Not only are Christians generally in America turning quite sharply against that sort of thing, but even Christian Zionists you're saying is,
so it's fracturing a bit.
Yeah.
From the bottom.
Yeah. Which is it's good.
Talking about fractures, let's talk about Australian society, right? So you've been an activist for, let's say, 10 years on the Palestinian issue. What do you make of what's happened in the last 2 years here? What are you seeing? Are there good signs? Are there bad signs? Are you seeing that a lot of people, have opened their eyes? Are you seeing more people should have awoken to what a genocide means? Tell us a little bit about what your sense is generally.
It's exploded.
Yeah.
It's definitely exploded. When I used to wear a keffiyeh around 10 years ago, you would either get funny looks like you support terrorism,
right,
or they didn't really know what it was. Whereas today, people are wearing them, and you see them in all different walks of life, younger, older. You see a lot more white people at the rallies, which I think also is very, very important.
Yep.
The truth is coming out. 10 years ago, when I started to post on Facebook, I had the anti-terror unit come to my office, because the Jewish community here didn't appreciate a white agnostic saying exactly what my best Palestinian friend had been saying for so many years. And it was the best thing in the world that they came. The best thing, because we got along really, really well. They understood everything that I was doing. They said, it's fantastic, you're actually learning. You're going to go over there, and next time we get so many complaints about you, we won't worry about it. And I haven't heard from them.
Okay.
So it was a great thing. And I think today, though, people can do more without having the threat of the terror unit coming.
Right. Because it's so blatantly obvious what's going on. Yeah.
I know that, look, our police are pretty good here. Our police are pretty good here. When you see what's going on in Germany,
it's true.
They are
thugs. Yeah.
They are, yes. Could they do better? Absolutely. Should we have free will to be able to, march up and down the streets? Probably, yeah, we should. And I believe that we've been given a reasonably good opportunity, and the Melbourne community are doing fantastic. They are staunch Palestine.
Have you seen the movement, as you said, explode? Like, have they been, let's just say everyday mums and dads, right, who previously would not have given a hoot about the Palestine-Israel sort of issue.
Yep.
and they've awoken to what they've seen. Because, the phenomenon
Definitely.
around the world that a lot of people speak about, analysts and people who watch the media, are like, it's the TikTok videos and the Instagram reels that have just flooded everyone's news feeds, and global society has turned on them, right? Has changed
the language has
because of
changed.
that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
People who did not care about the issue have woken up saying, hang on a second, how can this be allowed to happen in the modern world? And so everyday people are now joining this movement, or are at these rallies, at these marches. Is that what you're sensing? Or is it that, dormant activist types who perhaps had a political affiliation, they've just now gotten on their skates and been like, look, I'm a leftist, I really should be, doing a bit more. Is it the dormant masses who have turned up? Or is it people who perhaps should have been doing more, finally doing something about it? How
I think it's both. Because I think you're right. There's a lot of people that have their opinions. They're too scared to say anything.
Yeah.
But once one says it and then another one says it, you can go as a group, and I think things are changing. I think absolutely that has changed. I've seen a massive change with the news. Just some of the rhetoric. They're not smashing the Palestinians too much. At the start they did. But they're also, I believe, using better words where we're not getting hoodwinked, we're not getting tricked, and you're having the normal mum and a dad saying, you know what, I might go to the rally. And I think the rallies have been fantastic. The people in Melbourne and Sydney, they're behaving beautifully. They're giving the police no reason to do, to say anything, but it also makes it safer for people to come out and then be a part of it. And I think that helps as well. I get recognised a lot, especially when I wear this, and I love to hear when people say, "Oh, we've learnt so much. I'm so glad I learned about the Palestinians," or "I knew something wasn't right over there, and now I'm doing this." And it's great for the Palestinians. I mean, the Palestinians, they've either been completely ignored, or they've been demonised. There's been no in the middle for them for years. Whereas today, things are changing.
What kind of attention do you get from the other side? So from the obviously pro-Zionist side, you said police came to your door 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What is it like now?
Well, so I've got a few tattoos, say Palestine and, everything. Not once has one of them come up to me, but I had some stickers on my car and I got run off the road twice.
Right.
Yeah. Once I caught him and called the police. So that sort of gives you an understanding. If they're in a big four-wheel drive, they're more than happy to have a go when you've got your kids in the car. But on airplanes and stuff, I mean, it's pretty obvious what I go for.
Wow.
But I'm proud. I'm proud to be a supporter of Palestine. It's the right thing to do. I've taken the time to figure out what's going on over there. It's my responsibility. If you know something and you're in a position to do something, you should. It would be irresponsible if I turned my back on it when, all the things that I've done so far with the flotilla and trying to raise awareness. But they're not very courageous, but I also reckon it's because they know that they're wrong.
Deep down.
They won't say anything. What are they going to say? Or you support, what's that? I've been and seen all sides. I have been over there. And it's amazing the Zionists, the rhetoric that they will regurgitate. They don't know half the stuff that they're even talking about. And if they're a proud mother and a father and they're telling some country to bomb kids, what does that say?
Yeah.
What does it say? And we talk about, October 7. Yeah, it was a tragedy, but something needed to happen, and it had, things have changed because of it. If it hadn't happened, we would be in the same position where Palestine is, where they're getting murdered and land stolen. The majority of the hostages, let's be honest here,
they're IDF soldiers. They're not civilians.
No, but again, it's the language that we get touched with. And it's just wrong. It's wrong. And this is why I wear these proudly. My family telling me not to get any more.
But you're not under constant harassment from these people. There's not sort of like
early on I was
organized campaigns to deplatform you or to have you jailed or locked up or anything. You haven't experienced that?
When I was in Palestine, they did a Facebook thing to get me out of the country. They wanted either me to be killed or sent out of the country. The foreign minister.
Going back to 2014.
2014.
Right.
Yep.
But not recently. Not since
But I did post
Jeez.
where I was that day when I saw that, and I said, I am at the Jerusalem bookstore. If you would like to come and execute me, I am here.
Oh, wow.
And I put a picture with my cup of coffee and my cigarette. But no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Occasionally I get a look. You
Right.
feel the look. It's like, you know.
Right.
But the amount of people that come up and give you a pat on the back,
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I believe everyone should wear a keffiyeh.
Yeah.
Everyone should wear something that
Got
is
mine in the
showing-
car, actually. Yeah.
It shows support for Palestine. It's another way to advertise.
Yes.
I mean, like we advertise. You go for North Melbourne. You love to wear the North Melbourne jumper.
It's been a long time. I'll tell you how long it's been. The last jersey I had was Brent Harvey, I think number 18.
Yeah.
And I bought it. My uncle bought it for me in 2008, and it was an extra small.
Oh, you should really wear
Yeah,
it.
so it was basically it's a crop top, right?
Yeah.
But I've still got it.
Yeah. But look, some of the stuff that they come out with at the rallies, the stalls, some of it's so sophisticated, the qualities. I mean,
Yes.
the quality's right up there.
Yeah.
And I believe that
Everything we can do to sort of make it clear where we stand. Yeah.
and that's why I do it.
Yeah.
So it and I think when you see if I see someone with a scarf or something, I'll go and say I love the scarf,
Fantastic.
and they sort of because it's cool.
Tell us about the flotilla experience. So you were on the Handala, and that was earlier this year. Is that right?
Yeah, about a couple of months ago.
Yep.
Only a couple of months ago.
Was that your first flotilla?
Yeah.
So I was on the flotilla a year ago, but it didn't get out due
The one that went to Turkey, but then didn't end up. Okay.
Political and
Yes,
that sort
yes,
of stuff
yes.
happens. And so I came home. I was then supposed to.
Shout out to one of our friends, by the way, Fuad. He's listening.
He was
from
he was
our
supposed to
team.
go on
He
that
was
one.
meant to be on that
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
so he would have been with you actually.
There will be some more.
You know Fuad Fuad. I think.
I think so.
Yes, you were exchanging messages with him earlier today.
Okay, there
he
you
was
go.
the one that handed me off to you. So, so he would have been on that one. But so that didn't end up happening, and then there was one this year. Earlier.
Yes,
this year.
it's hard to get a flotilla out there.
Of course, it's
You've
huge.
got weather, you've got boats, you've got the political sphere, you've got insurances, you've got all of those things.
Yeah.
And in 2010, they killed.
Of course, the big incident with the Marvin Melbourne.
Yeah, and so after that big flotilla, they decided to go with one boat or small boats for protection.
Yeah.
I got sick last year, so I was supposed to be on the one that got bombed, the Conscience.
Right.
I was supposed to be on that one,
Yes,
and then I was supposed to be on the Madeleine, the one that had Greta on it.
Yep.
And then I got well, and the Handala was available, and I said, I'm going to go on it.
That was in May, was it?
Interesting.
Was it
May,
May
June,
this year?
something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
June,
And so
I think, June.
you got arrested, and you were in their prisons, weren't you?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
You're out, first of all, the day that we were supposed to leave, and I always thought this was all made up, this stuff. But the day we were leaving, there was rope around the propeller. And, that happens in the sea. Happens, it does happen. But this particular rope floated. So it can't get down there. And it was also brand new.
Yeah.
And it was also from a posh yacht. So it had been purchased and someone had put it around there. And what happens is you get, a fair way out and the propeller comes off.
And which city were you going from?
Gallipoli.
Gallipoli.
This is
Okay.
from
It was
Gallipoli.
Turkey, yeah.
Yeah. And then water was getting delivered. You get the water delivered the day you leave. And there was a guy there, and there's a photo out there. Hopefully they'll get him. It looks like Mossad all over. He's there filming.
Right.
He was pushing it on. Some fell off, spurted on one of the girl's legs, and burnt her leg.
Acid.
Sulfuric acid.
Oh my god.
That was supposed to be drinking water.
Yeah. So it would have gone through the pipes. The pipes everything would have just done it. The boat was made in 1967. It was built in 1967, and it was an old fishing boat. So I always thought that those things were made up, but that happened.
Goodness gracious.
And then you got 8 days at sea. It's horrible because there's no air. If there is air, you've got the diesel fuel. 8th day, we knew that they were going to come and get us because they wouldn't let us go any closer to Gaza. We had drones for days. The day before, a new drone. It's a different drone. It's a pretty sophisticated. It just sat up there for hours. Nighttime came, 10 o'clock came. A few people saw some flares go up. And when you're out at sea, it's very clear. Very clear. You can see for miles. Well, once the flares went up, it was foggy. We couldn't see anything. And then we hear, we see these boats on the the blipping thing, the radar. And then, it looked like one boat and then 4 boats. It's all different because they get close and do all of that. And then we hear this boat on the microphone saying, it's the the Israeli Navy or whatever. We're here to take you ashore. We know that you've had a very very difficult 8 days. It's time. Your trip is over. We are now going to collect you. We're going to board your boat and we're going to take you to Ashdod. And then all of a sudden, it was like a ghost ship because their ships are grey and there was haze. It just appeared. And then they all just jumped on the boat. And there was a live feed and you could see at least 30 of these people were on this boat. And this boat is not big. It's not big at all. And then they took us to Ashdod. I believe they gassed us because everyone fell asleep, all 21 people, all 20 people, except for me. I take certain medications that can counteract sedation.
Right.
So you came prepared, huh?
Was just because I need
coincidence.
them. Yeah, it was a good coincidence.
You went reverse.
But it was, and so and these are people like some of them were experienced seamen. They know what's going on.
Sure.
Now, I mean, you can answer your question here that if you had 30 people with M16 standing around you, and all of them had a minimum of 2 guns, some 3 and 4 guns, are you going to go to sleep? Pretty unlikely. Pretty unlikely.
And yet everyone did.
Everyone did.
Oh, jeez.
And the way they slept too was in a way that was
Right. Completely collapsed.
so this was Unit 13 that I said that did the hospital. They're built slim and sort of for speed. An 11-hour trip to Ashdod. Ashdod is where they take all the boats. As we got there, the guys on the boat said, "We're going to leave you here," and these guys were a different ball game. These guys were roided up. Angry, just no smiling. They had the full masks, the balaclavas, and they also had a camera crew, which they also had on the boat. Right. They do everything as a movie opportunity,
right,
for their PR.
Yeah,
for their PR. And then the long and short of us, they tried to get us to sign documents to say that we had ended up in Israel illegally.
Yep.
We said no, we're not signing anything, so we didn't sign anything. We're taken off to maximum security prison. We're there for 3 or 4 days. They strip searched us all the time, which is, it's amusing, I suppose. It's just part of their dehumanising. But when they would come in, they'd come in with their full battle gear. So you can't do anything to them. Yeah. And they always have numbers. They've always got, 4 to 6 of them around you to try and dehumanise you. The bedding was crap. It was awful. They had blood stains, white stains. They had bed bugs. They had all sorts of bugs everywhere. It was boiling hot, no air. The water was acidic, and so it would burn your skin. You couldn't drink, but I went on a hunger strike and a food strike. I said I'm not touching anything, and so that was interesting. Full shackles both ways. Every time they take you somewhere. I mean, I thought it was reasonably amusing that they were scared, so scared of people taking aid to Gaza.
Yeah.
And when they saw me, they had the photo. I mean, they had a photo of everybody. Yeah. And they said, "Oh, Rob Martin, you're in big trouble." And I just started laughing. I said, "Whatever, I'd really like you to beat the shit out of me, because then when I get home, I'll just say, look what you do. You beat 53-year-old men." And so did
you think you were going to get home in the midst of that?
There's a few times where you can. If there's a prison in the world you can get lost at, it's that one.
Right.
They mistreated the latest ones even more because there were more numbers. They went to a different prison, and they were really mistreated as well. But they lied to our embassy. They said that Robert has assaulted a guard and he has been moved. We don't know where he is. And so our consulate, they have to say basically verbatim to the families because they can't get emotionally. Yeah. And so my family thought, he's done it. Yeah. We don't know where he is. And they did that because they couldn't get to me. They did it to get to the family. It's just the things that they think of. They stole all our Palestine stuff.
Just to agonize everything as much as they can.
Yeah. Threw everything out. They hated my tattoos. They were looking for ways to get rid of them. Wow. They said if I was in any Arab country, they would have cut my fingers off.
Yep.
And so but to see and then they would say, why you're only here because you hate us. It's not because you want to help the Palestinians. We're only there because we hate them so much that we put our lives on the line to feed starving kids. Not the fact that they're starving kids. It's they think it's everything's
against them. They literally don't think
them.
of them as human.
But and it's all about us. You just hate us. Well, we do.
It really is, yeah.
Because of what you do, not because of who you are.
Yeah.
What kind of consular support did you get, if any?
Mine was great. Not sure why. Mine seemed to be a hell of a lot better than anybody else's.
Does it help that you're white? I could hazard that.
Well, it's possible, but unlikely.
I mean, he's a
because there was
Collingwood
quite a few
supporter,
Australians.
so
There's quite a few Australians.
I wouldn't give you
last
much.
one.
Right.
There was, and a lot of them were white.
Right. Okay.
And so I don't know whether it was the timing. I don't know. But when we got to the prison, they were there. They had watched the live feed. The Americans did not send any consulate to the prison for mine, and there were 7 of them.
Wow.
And so mine were great. They picked us up from Jordan. They picked me up in a brand new black sedan. I felt like a movie star. They took me to hospital.
Career diplomat. Yeah.
They took me to a hospital, and I stayed in the hospital for the night. They lent us money. They were good.
Yeah.
I have to give them credit.
Yeah, sure. No,
But it doesn't mean that
it
it doesn't mean that
it's always the case. Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah, no, sure.
I was lucky.
What do you make of the recent Samud flotilla? Been everywhere and all over the news. What have you made of their efforts of this particular initiative? Yeah.
Fantastic.
Heroes, aren't they?
Absolutely. And look, they went in more risky because of the numbers.
Yeah.
Israel could have done anything.
What did you say is the reverse? What did you say the fact that there were so many people gave them some safety, because there's no way that Israel would dare to move against such a large number? It would be a catastrophe from a PR perspective.
Like executed in 2010, 10 people. Nothing ever happened.
Yeah, sure. So they don't really care. They really don't care.
No, they couldn't.
You can do a genocide in broad daylight.
Yeah, it's look, they dislocated someone's shoulder. I also heard that they put people in cages outside. They took a few people out at night and put a gun to their head. They did all of these things where, and this is a very well known torture place for the Palestinians. They couldn't take them to the prison I was at because there was too many of them, and people can get lost there. I mean, I think they'll ram a boat soon enough. Yeah. They're going to do something. It's embarrassing them. Yeah, it is.
And they want to really show that we've got this under control.
Yeah. And look, and people will go. The love for Palestine today is far greater than the fear of Israel. And that is a beautiful thing. And it's growing and it's growing and it's growing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I want to ask you a slightly difficult question, tricky question, which you may not get asked elsewhere, but, there's an identity to our little unit. So I'm going to ask, I'm going to push the path a little bit. So, that there's, you're very close to the Palestinian people. And do you ever wonder, what is it that keeps them going? What is the internal spark that makes them who they are, that makes them so resilient?
Yes.
Do you reflect on that at all?
Their religion?
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm not religious, but I love religion. I think religion helps. Both of my parents died. I sat with them on their deathbed and they were ready to meet their maker. Yeah. And that is a beautiful thing. The Palestinians in Gaza, their religion, their kids saying, look, I'm happy to go to heaven. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. And that way you can't defeat them. Yeah. And it's not going to happen. So
you said before you're an atheist. Are you a committed atheist?
I'm an agnostic, probably.
Agnostic, interesting.
Yeah. So look, I have conversations with my kids, because we talk about religious sometimes. And, like my daughter broke her hand the other day. And I said, isn't it amazing how it heals itself? You can see it because she kept taking the thing out to show me all the colours. Yeah. I said, isn't it amazing? It does do that. And then I said that our hand is waterproof for like 100 years. Yeah. But most things aren't. Yeah. I said, how's that? Yeah. And it's like, oh, Dad. And then so she'll start thinking about that sort of thing. Yeah. I can't just become religious.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No one can.
You have to
go on a journey. Yeah.
And you've got to have a true belief. And that I'm not there. Yeah. I've read the Quran. I have a beginner's guide to the Quran that arrived the other day. It's mainly for kids, but I bought it for myself. Amazing. Which I'm interested in because I believe, I got these the other day.
Subhanallah, wow.
That was the other day.
Peace, reliance on God, and love. That's amazing.
So, yeah, I like the way you add a little bit there.
Oh, right. Reliance. Yes. But tawakkul means one thing in our vernacular. Yeah.
I've become very close to Sheikh Allah from Heidelberg.
Okay. Oh, mashallah. Yeah. He's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, we know him.
Very good.
Yeah, we speak a lot.
That's fantastic.
I spent time at his mosque.
Yes.
And I've been to a few functions with him.
Yeah.
So
amazing. Yes.
And there's
It's
a
a
few
great
of,
man to have rapport with.
there's a few of his people too also on the lookout.
I
to-
see. So
to
you,
say,
you,
read
you
this,
received
read that.
you
No.
received the signals, as we call them. The
And,
feelers.
and you know what? And the other thing is, I base a religion not just it's not on the words, it's on the understanding, but then it's on the living.
Yes, absolutely.
And my experience with Islamic people is faultless.
It's incredible.
It's faultless. And when
I could tell you a few faults we have, but
Well, yeah.
glad that's been your experience.
throughout Palestine, they're always worried about me.
Yeah.
These people, you know, they're living a horrible life. They're getting, you know, if they're not getting their family killed, it's the threat of it's there, and it's always, are you okay, Rob? Come, let's do this. You know, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And everywhere, you know, I saw a guy in Adelaide, and he came up and he said, Rob, how are you? And I said, I'm going okay. Thank you very much for asking. He said, oh, that's good. And I later found out that he had 40 members of his family die, but he's worried about me, and that you can't.
No.
You can't fault that, and that to me is a beautiful thing. So that's my how I judge religion.
I feel like there's a part of the spirit of what drives or what holds together the Palestinians. You have a little bit of that spirit in you, what drives your activism as well. I sense that.
I never felt more at home than I did over there. My upbringing was not good, wasn't good at all. And I had a connection there that I never had here. And that's another reason. And it was one of those things that was unconditional.
And they seem to sort of embrace you in a very deep way, isn't it? Like from everything that
it is. And it's so, you know, like when you hang out with my white mates, a lot of it's superficial, you know. If you're an activist or you go into an area where they're occupied, not a lot of superficial stuff there. You get straight to the
Very
core,
deep
the feelings, and you know, I get hugged by all of the. You know, it was just it took me a while to get used to, and then, but it's genuine. It's genuine there, and that is a beautiful thing. Do I wish that I was religious? Absolutely, I do.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I see.
Why wouldn't you?
Wow, that's incredible.
Why wouldn't you?
So is Brother Robert?
Inshallah. I mean, in the interest of full disclosure, and many of our sort of viewers will know, Abdullah and I were part of this, let's say 10 years ago, we're part of this sort of community of activists and speakers who very much involved in, you know, what you would call debating and discussing issues of theology. So we were at university campuses, you know, having debates with atheists, for example, about proving God and his existence and why Muhammad was the messenger of God and all that sort of stuff. So we sort of come from that sort of background. But I think with age, you'd probably say that, you know, proof of religion is it's not just an intellectual exercise.
No,
it really is a lived thing. That
Well, that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
Because you can't prove.
Yeah.
There's nothing, not that I know. You can't prove.
Well,
it
it remains at an abstract level.
You got to feel it and believe, you know,
exactly.
and all of that. And
Ultimately, it's a feeling from God, and it's we call it guidance in our religion. That's how we sort of.
And look, and I get a buzz when I go out and I speak to, and I speak about the Muslims, and you see, or the Palestinians, and you see the kids.
Yeah.
10 to 16, 17. A lot of them cry when they hear a white person talk about their religion.
Yeah.
Because they don't hear it otherwise.
Yeah, no, they don't.
You know, you've got to get out of your bubble. The news isn't always that pleasant.
Of course, I mean they've grown up with, you know, the religion being touted as the most evil thing in existence. So,
and I would have believed that too when I was growing up. So, you know.
No, so that's quite powerful. And I mean, you know, we there's a big part of our faith that as you know is about the lived side of things and living the values and living the essence of Islam, which you've seen better than almost I think even some of us in terms of what you've seen of the resilience of those people. In fact, if I could share a personal story myself, my uncle and auntie, so this is my dad's brother and his wife, who I'm very close to, they're like second parents almost. They've been to Jerusalem, and it was, you know, when they talk about it, and they've been to Mecca and they've done Hajj and, you know, these big things, they've done all of those, but the way that they speak about their time in Jerusalem was a couple of weeks. It's unbelievable. Like the time that they talk about spending with, you know, the people in the West Bank, right? Their eyes well up. It's just different. It's just different. Like you just know. And I've unfortunately never had that experience because, you know, prior to, I guess the genocide changed all of us. I mean, I think all of us would wish that that's the first place we go if we get a chance. And right now it's almost impossible because of they're not allowing people in and so forth. But, you know, they really speak with that reverence and you really do wonder, these are different people. These are really, really different people. So, you know, they're sort of living the ethos of our faith in some ways, but, you know, we also believe in the idea of conveyance. And and warmly inviting people to, we're duty bound to say to you that, we really, really hope one day that you will join not just our community of activists, but our community of believers. It would be
well, look, I'd be
great
honoured, but got to get there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In your own time.
Part 2 of the podcast.
But I also think that the Palestinians, they're wiser, especially the younger ones as well. They're wiser than they should be, because they've had to live all of this stuff. And then they can turn. But there's a lot of Christians that, because it's not a religious conflict. A lot of people think that. And I came across a lot of atheists, which I was surprised at.
Of course, yeah.
I was surprised. I think, maybe life over there is going to do it. But then you'll have some other people, convert.
Yep. No, so, I mean, Robert, it's been a wonderful conversation. It's been great to hear about some of, the history and some of what you've seen. What would be your words to end with for people who perhaps have not given themselves to the struggle just yet, right? People who've seen injustice, whether they're Muslim, whether they're not, whether they're Palestinian, whether they're not, whether they're Arab, whether they're not, and especially if they're Australians, and just normal everyday Australians like you, blonde, blue eyes, whatever. What's your message to people as they see this unfold in front of them? Like, what would you like to tap into people's, I guess, innate humanity to try and get them to realize that they have to be on the right side of history and do something about what's going on, whatever that looks like?
I reckon if I was telling myself 10 years ago, I would say to go to some events, like some dinners. Like I went to a couple of the Islamic dinners where they've raised a lot of money, and you meet Palestinians that have come from Gaza. You meet Palestinians that have lived here that want to go back, and you meet like-minded people. It becomes a whole new experience, because it's not about just you, and you meet people. I mean, I've met some wonderful people.
You were at the recent Islamic Relief tour that happened.
Yeah, so I was in Adelaide and I did Melbourne.
And you were
Sydney
well.
and Melbourne.
What was your experience of that?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Have you done Islamic Relief stuff before in 2016, or was that?
Yes, I was taken to one of those events. Sheikh Allah has taken me to.
I saw a photo of you.
Well, he's
I remember that one.
He's taken me to a few events.
Right. Okay. So he's known you for a while
as a guest, and then I end up on stage somehow.
Well, of course, you're a white guy.
He gives me a gift.
Palestine,
He gives me a gift, and so he's been very, very kind to me, which has been great. But to get involved with the community directly, look, November 8 coming up. If this is out by then, would be a really November 8 would be fantastic if people got down to Federation Square, because it's national. It's the Palestine.
Day?
Yeah, National Palestine Day.
And that'll be the same day as I think the next round of big rallies in Sydney and elsewhere as well. So to everyone watching, make sure you're there, not just in Melbourne, but wherever you are.
Well, there is only one. It's in Australia. It's the only one we know worldwide. Definitely the only one in Australia that's celebrating the day. So if you're in Sydney or Canberra, drive down. It's a full day. I'm going to have my kids there for the day. It's a wonderful opportunity because we can celebrate Palestine. We can celebrate their culture. We can celebrate them as a people, rather than what we unfortunately have to do over the last number of years, which is just crying for them. It's going to be a wonderful day. So people can get down there. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not asking for anything. We just want you to come down.
So get to events, understand the history, start interacting with their people, understand the culture. Abdullah, any thoughts or questions from you to finish off?
Just really, really interesting, your personal experience on the ground from both sides. And I was really interested about particularly you didn't go into it too much, but you said was your uncle with the Christians for Zionism. I think a lot of that is sort of gets ignored a lot, and it gets passed off very, very easily, and that's used to rally a lot of support on the ground for people who might be otherwise, on the fence or not here or there. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, and about I forget the name that you mentioned. What was your uncle's name?
Andrew Tucker.
Andrew Tucker. I feel like I've heard that somewhere before.
It's a pretty common name.
Yeah, Tucker.
But he's a really smart guy. He studied international law at Oxford. Jeez. And then just turn into an evil human being. So when I used to go to church, I didn't understand it. But when I look back, Israel was always spoken as a light. Yeah, always a light. Whether it was subconsciously or directly, it was any of those. And there was really nothing you would in the Middle East or Jerusalem. You would only ever think that it was going to be Israel there. That was my understanding. And that to me it's a lie. And if you're lying for religion, blatant lie. And he's of the school of Armageddon.
Yeah, so basically Israel has to come, and then it's ironic though.
But then they're having arguments.
Irony, it's
crazy.
They want it to happen so that
But then there's arguments with experts saying, well, you can't force it.
Yeah, it has to come by itself. Yeah.
And
But
so,
really, like the irony of it is that they want the Messiah to come and then vanquish these people so that the land can be for the true believers. So in actual fact, if like with anyone with sense looked into it, it's like it's actually you're wanting them to be destroyed. Like it's
that's a religion I'm not going to get involved with.
I can't compute. I really don't understand that at all.
No, it's crazy.
I understand it, but I don't understand it.
My father was religious, and when I became pro-Palestine, and my business partner Nasser Mashni is Palestinian, my dad, he started to see different sides, and you could realise, before he died, that he'd sort of realised that maybe he didn't like the Zionism side so much. So it's a different. It's just, to me, it's terrorism to me.
Yeah, I think in peeling that underbelly of that could really open the eyes out for a lot of the wider Australian public, or particularly in the West. And I think I'd like to see the focus a little bit more on that. But I think where Tucker Carlson, that's where. But obviously that's on the other side of the spectrum now.
That's a discussion in itself, isn't it?
Well, he's changed.
Fascinating. And I mean, that gives you some
Pierce.
hope. I don't know if that's the right word, but it certainly makes you think that if it can happen. And again, look, Piers is a bit of a chameleon, right? Like, I think he's a bit of a horses for courses, say whatever needs to be said, that sort of thing. But Tucker is a very interesting one. Does that sort of change give you hope that if for someone like him...
Oh, I still can't stand him.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
But I do listen to it, because Nasser Mashni was on the other day.
Of course he was,
and I thought that was pretty cool, and he did very, very well.
Yes, he did.
But yes, absolutely, because he was a staunch supporter of Israel. Israel. And yes, people are opening their eyes. Definitely happening. So,
and that's a phenomenon. I think that'll be fascinating to see where it goes.
What's the new media, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Absolutely
makes a big difference. Like
we're playing our part.
This is it.
This is it. Yeah.
This could be the big.
Yeah, Larry Edelson can't buy this podcast, can he? Is it for sale?
No, it will only take 1 billion.
Well, maybe a little bit more than that. But
well, imagine what we could do.
We could negotiate
with that money, right? So maybe there is a price, but. Rob, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much, mate. It's been a wonderful conversation. Our absolute honour and pleasure to have you. We hope to talk again. And
we shall.
From the river to the sea.
I'll see the mosque. Oh, that's another,
from the river to the sea. Brother Rob, until next time.
Inshallah.
I'll just put this one here.
There you go. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. And share this episode with your friends, family, and so forth. If you enjoyed it, and thank you so much, Abdullah, for being our guest host.
Most welcome. Thank
Absolute
you for
pleasure.
us.
Thank you,
Robert.
Absolute legend. Thank you so much.
See you guys for part 2, yeah?
Assalamu alaikum.